Alrighty then. Howdy, folks, and welcome on back to the Flying T-Bar C. It is time for us to dive into that golden oldie segment of the week, which is Throwback Thursday. Last week we managed to unlock the true ending of Chrono Trigger, and now we're going to be diving on into the next part of the saga, which is, I say Chrono Cross, but we're gonna be playing Radical Dreamers, Le Trésor, um, Interdit, because it sets the groundwork for Chrono Cross. Um, so we are gonna enjoy ourselves the full narrative experience. I have definitely never played this game before. So it is going to be a experience. As always, folks, a full disclaimer because um, hidden stuff, treasures, things like that, as well as the fact that I know that there is uh, plenty of weird, crazy things that happen. We are going to be having a walkthrough up throughout all of this fun stuff. So we will be dealing with all of that. But I hope you guys enjoy experiencing this with me because honestly, I've been looking forward to it. However, before we get on into it, as always, folks, don't forget, if you guys enjoy my streams, you enjoy my content, hell, maybe you just enjoy my dulcet tones. You can check me out over on YouTube, Twitter, and Blue Sky. YouTube is the archive where you can find any and all of my archived content, including that full playthrough of Chrono Trigger, where we did the canon, the original OG ending, and the true ending from the DS re-release. Um, on the meanwhile, over on Twitter and Blue Sky, you guys can keep track of any and all announcements involving the stream, things like when I'm going live, what games I'm playing, and what days I'm playing those games. So like, follow, and if you think worth subscription, well, I ain't gonna say no. All I ask is that you take care of yourself before you try taking care of me. Now, what do y'all say we go ahead and get on into it here, shall we? So, let's click that button, and click this button, and then click... Nope, not that button. I need to scroll down, uncapture that, recapture that, pull that up. Um, Hold up. There we go. Alrighty, there we are. Now we're in the thing. We're in the thick of it. Alright, click this button, and then I gotta. Alright, there we go. Alright, there we go. So hopefully I don't get flagged for the song. Let's get into Radical Dreamers. Presented by The Radical Dreamers, 1996. It all began with a notebook my mother handed me. She told me she found it while cleaning out the closet. This old notebook, covered with mold, was a diary that belonged to my grandfather, who passed away years ago. It contained his distant memories. I wonder if you still remember how we first met and our many adventures. It all seemed like a dream. We ran like the wind during those warm summer days, long ago. You were a piece of a star that fell from the sky. Radical Dreamers, Le Trésor Interdit. Change selections, confirm, cancel, menu, auto text, just sound settings, return to the launcher, okay. Confirm. We're not changing the names. The old lady's tip-off was right on the money. The counterspell on the barrier around the outer walls could have done a real number on us. Oh. Kid's plain, unadorned braid flicked back and forth across her shoulders as she walked. We picked our way through the elaborate lattice of the manor's magic fields, moving in closer and closer to Lord Lynx's stronghold. There were three of us, Kid, McGill, and me. I guess it must have been 3 years already since I first met Kid. Back then, I was just a wandering musician, traveling wherever my feet would take me, and wherever a few tunes would pay for a warm bed. It was in the Outlands, in a town called Regoria, when we first ran across one another, and since then she dragged me along on a whole bunch of adventures, and misadventures too. Ah, Kid. She was a thief, and not just any thief. Just a few months shy of 17 and already renowned as one of the realm's greatest. What's more, she was achingly beautiful, stylish, a joy to be around, and a dab hand with the campsite cooking. Or so she liked to claim. Truth was a little different. Those bandits with hearts of gold you've heard about in stories, the ones who steal from the rich and give to the poor. Yeah, that wasn't Kid style. She was short-tempered, prone to lying, bossy, obsessed with money, and rarely did she care to listen to a single word anyone said to her. But she wasn't all bad. Probably. Maybe. Sometimes? She had her moments, anyway. I glanced over my shoulder to see a shadow hovering behind us, blending into the darkness like a smoke. McGill. Also known as McGill the Shade. He was Kid's partner. But even after 3 years, I still hardly knew anything about him. All I knew was that he was around 30 years old, and not much of a talker, but he was one heck of a mage. I heard that he and Kid had started working together way before I met her. He always covered the top half of his face with a mask, and I'd never seen what he looked like underneath. He was a man so mysterious that it sometimes seemed like he was an interloper from another world. It wasn't like Kid was exactly big on details about her past. But McGill? He might as well not have had one. And Kid didn't seem to know much about her partner in crime either. What kind of man he was, what kind of life he'd lived. What kind of man he was, what kind of life he'd lived before. Nothing. You might ask how exactly I wound up being a part of this merry band. Well, it's complicated. Guess you could say that life doesn't always turn out the way you think it will. Kid, who was headed up our little raiding party, suddenly stopped dead. Look lively, boys. We've got company. We glanced around warily as cold, cruel eyes emerged from the darkness. I heard a low growl. Dark shadows prowled through the night, surrounding us. A pack of wildcats. There must have been 10 of them. A thrill of fear ran down my spine. Flustered, I pulled my knife from my belt. Kid calmly shifted into a fighting stance. Watch yourselves. I don't reckon these buggers have been treated for rabies. The wildcats snarled and growled as they slowly closed in on us, drawing the noose tighter and tighter. Their eyes glinted in the darkness like fireflies, and strings of eager spittle dripped wetly to the ground. Then, one of them sent an almighty roar soaring to the moon, and the hunt was on. What was I going to do? Dun dun dun. I attacked. I slashed at a nearby wildcat with my knife. The beast tried to leap clear, but I was already too close. I felt the blade make contact and was rewarded with a screech of pain. The wildcat jumped away, and this time managed to put some space between us. It looked like I hadn't cut it very deeply. I stood my ground, changing my grip on the knife and waiting for another chance to attack. Search behind you! Panicked by Kid's warning, I whirled wildly around and came face to face with a pair of eyes blazing like hellfire. I attacked. Wildcat was coming right at me. By reflex, I ducked. Its attack swiping through the air directly over my head. I felt its hot breath on my cheek as it flew by me. At the same time, I thrust my knife upward, plunging it into the beast's belly. With a horrible cry of agony, Wildcat crashed face first into the ground. I lost my balance in the chaos, fell down in a heap as well. Rolled over, and was only just able to stagger back to my feet before readying myself for my next opponent. I breathed heavily, the handle of my knife slick with sweat, and I tightened my grip. With a kick like a bolt of lightning, the kid landed a clean hit on the flank of the nearby wildcat. It staggered before losing its footing, letting out a pathetic cry. The kid had already moved in to finish it off. And then, the roar of fire. Burning smell filled my nostrils. Next to me, a shrill screech pieced the air. McGill's fire spell engulfed the head of a nearby wildcat. It fled, darting off into the darkness like an arrow. Scanned the area. Only moments ago we had been surrounded, but now there wasn't a single wildcat left. Kid and McGill had either sent the rest off with their tails between their legs, or paid to them once and for all. Ha! You're dreaming if you think a pack of flea-bitten moggies can keep us, or is going to stop us, Lynx. Kid crossed her arms and flashed a triumphant grin. Meanwhile, I was panting heavily. It felt like my legs were about to give out from under me. I collapsed to my knees, overwhelmed by what I'd just been through. Whew! I'd taken a few hits, but I was fine otherwise. A couple of scars to talk about later, maybe, but nothing that would stop me from carrying on. Are you hurt? McGill looked down at me, his face expressionless as ever. No worry, Mag, he'll be alright, said Kid, barging in to get a better look at me. He may be a winging sook, but it'll take more than a few scratches to kill this one. She was nothing if not sympathetic. She was right. This was no time to be bemoaning my lot. We hadn't even reached the manor yet. I dabbed at my wounds with a tincture-soaked cloth and wrapped them with bandages. Then looked up at the other two. We're just getting started. I grinned back, putting on a brave face of things. That's what I like to hear, Kid cheerily announced from close quarters. Then her eyes turned cold, like the cool glow of the moon in the night sky. It's gonna be a long night. I nodded, trying my hardest not to utterly lose myself in her pale blue eyes. Alright, let's get this show back on the road. She turned away and marched off deeper into the trees without looking behind me to see if me and McGill were following her. McGill, of course, was already right behind her, his unhurried gait making it seem as though nothing much had happened at all. I jumped back to my feet to chase after him. I'd be in for even more trouble than I bargained for if I got separated from him. Dark forest inside the manor's perimeter seemed to go on forever, a labyrinth of trees and boulders. The manor itself loomed in the distance, towering over the vast grounds. And hidden within was a veritable mountain of treasure just waiting for us. Lord Lynx was the noble, Lord Lynx was the noble who ruled the remote territory of Rigoria. He was also Kid's mortal enemy. We were there that night to steal a certain jewel he kept locked away in his most closely guarded vault, the Frozen Flame. The Frozen Flame was veiled in mystery and was said to be imbued with an uncanny energy and possessed a beauty and clarity that made it a priceless treasure. Countless thieves had tried to steal it, and not one of them had come close to succeeding. Nor had any of them escaped the manor alive. Now it was our turn to try and sneak into this place of death, led by a girl who had the ambition to make the impossible possible, hunger for vengeance that drove her onward, and a desire for riches that could never be satisfied. As we pressed on through the tree-filled darkness, the shadows gave way at last, revealing the true extent of the vast mansion. As we pressed on through the tree-filled darkness, the shadows gave way at last, revealing the true extent of the vast mansion. Finally, say your prayers, Lynx, because we're coming for you. Deep into the overgrowth and the shadow of the trees, we made our way around the manor walls in search of a means of entry. Eventually, we came to a terrace overlooking the garden. There was no sign of any guards nearby. The only thing surrounding the manor was an uncanny stillness. This will lead us straight into the west wing. Just as well. We don't have any business in the rest of the manor tonight, said McGill, gazing up at the dark building towering over us in the night. Alright then, what are we waiting for? With that, Kid made the vault over the railing of the terrace. Stop! McGill hissed sharply. Remember what we're here for. Our main target is the vault and the frozen flame within it. We focus on this above all else. Your vengeance is of secondary concern. Agreed? Glancing over her shoulder, Kid replied with a reluctant, Yeah, don't get your knickers in a twist. I gotta maybe try to hit kinda British with Kid, I think. But if we happen to run into him, I'm not... But if we happen to run into him... No, that's Southern. I'll see if I can slip into it. But if we happen to run into him, I'm gonna knock that Drongo's block off. And neither you nor anybody else is gonna stop me. I guess Kid was going to get her way whether we liked it or not. Let's go, boys. The night is young. She cleared the railing with a sprightly hop and vanished inside the manor. Glanced toward McGill and nodded in silence. We followed Kid's lead and were soon inside Lord Lynx's lair. Darkness swallowed us whole. I gotta look at the thing here. No way. Okay. As a corridor stretched off to the corridor stretched off to the left and right from the terrace. It seemed equally dark and chilly in both directions. Decided to go left. We pressed on through the darkness, down corridors that turned and twisted snake-like, this way and that. Everything around us was still and silent. Oh, shit. We continued creeping cautiously down the corridors. Kid moved proudly and stealthily like a cat stalking its prey, while in the shadows McGill followed, gliding swiftly and silently. Mr. Breeze. Something Weaver of Fate. Shit. Oh yeah, hi Gravy. So, on my days off, I do double sessions of streams. I would just do one giant long session, but it's easier to upload the VODs to YouTube if I take a break between streams and therefore make it a different VOD on Twitch. So then I don't have to split the video myself. They do it for me. But yeah, so I'm back. Currently we're doing some Radical Dreamers. This is like the prequel of Chrono Cross, technically. It lays the foundation for how Chrono Cross starts, apparently. I've never messed around with this at all, so we're going to see how it goes. But you're going to see me doing some narrator shit for the most part, it seems like. Three directions. We took the corridor leading from the left-hand side. We took the corridor leading from the left-hand side of the terrace, eventually arriving in an intersection with some stairs. The path to the right led down the stairs. The path to the left was a dark side passage. Then the main corridor continued straight onward. We're going to go down the stairs. Slowly, we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into blackness as we went. At the bottom, the path split, and the way to the left continued on to an atrium that resembled some sort of plaza, while the path to the right was a winding passageway that trailed off into the darkness. We'll go this way. I do have a walkthrough thing up, too, by the way, just full transparency. I just want to get the story, so that we're not redoing this a bunch of times based off of bad decisions. Hold on 1 second here. There we go. Alright. We went down the stairs and took the passage to our right. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the right-hand side. You know what? Since it's not active combat, I'm actually gonna rearrange some shit here. I'm actually gonna... The whole idea that I just had is, since it's just what it is here, I'm just gonna read it off of my capture screen on my computer, rather than have to deal with turning around and looking at crap at all my other computer screens while we're doing this. Because my TV's like way over here to my left, and then like my computer and other monitors are over here on like the what would be like, I guess, the right hand side of my wall. Because I have a very tiny room, don't have a lot of room to like make a nice big setup. So Yeah. Eventually we came across an ornate door on the right hand side. Something smelled fresh and pleasant. Flowers? Was it coming from inside? We shall go inside the room. Found ourselves in a tidy welcoming room. The knickknacks and curios dotted around the place seemed to be well loved. A stately desk and a cozy looking bed nearby. The stately desk and the cozy looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupant was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, somehow it still felt awfully lonely. Kid took a quick look around before commenting, "It's Lynx's girl's room." A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup still warm suggested that the lady of the manor was still nearby. It didn't seem that anyone was here now. We decided to search the room. Some charming flowers, a discarded cotton handkerchief, and a small bottle of perfume. It's kind of neat that you can see the characters in the mirror like that. Nothing that meant much to me, nor anything that seemed particularly valuable. Kid seemed to have the same impression, and scanned the room, clearly not expecting to find anything. The only item of note was a small antique box, which bore a crest resembling a viper. I decided where to look next. Check the drawers. I slid open one of the finely veneered drawers. Frills, lace, and sequins greeted me in reds, pinks, yellows, and a host of other vivid colors. A bounty of beautiful silk garments overflowed from within. Dresses, eh? Give us a look. I'd been just about to close the drawer again when Kid came up and started peering over my shoulder. She reached out a hand to touch one of them, though I sensed a certain hesitation. I've never worn anything this posh in my life. The gown she picked up was cut simply, but beautifully, and was decorated with a pale floral pattern on a white background. She held it up to her chest, took a gentle twirl around the room. She was as light on her feet as a woodland nymph. The fabric fluttered like flower petals, and she held the hem just so. In that brief moment, you could have almost called her dainty. Ha! Stupid thing. Not exactly me, eh? I wouldn't say that. I think it really suits you. Oh, shut your gob, arse kisser. Her face turned an angry red. Come on, we ain't got all night. The spell well and truly broken. She stomped out of the room. The passage outside the room continued to our left and right. The path to the right led deeper into the darkness of the manor. Meanwhile, going left would take us to the atrium and another branch. Where do we want to go? Head to the right. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves in a sturdy-looking, immaculately... I fucked that up. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves at a sturdy-looking, immaculately polished door. Kid sniffed the air. Just as I thought. Something stinks here. I reckon we found the beast's lair, lads. Maybe I should go Scottish with her. Yeah, I'm gonna make her Scottish. I'm gonna try anyways. might be kind of terrible. In the darkness, Kid's lips twisted into a grin that turned my blood cold. Go inside. Kid opened the door and slipped inside. It was Lynx's room, but he didn't seem to be around. Bloody hell. The bug is gone and scampered because he heard I was coming. Ah, son of a bitch. I'm getting too trapped in one voice. Hang on, I'm grabbing a tea really quick. He's gone and scampered because he heard things. There we go. That's a little better. Well, hey, laddie. The bug has gone and scampered because he heard I was coming. There was something deeply unpleasant about the room. There wasn't anything unusual about the furniture and the fittings. Not how they looked or how they were made, but taken as a whole, it all felt discordant. Was this a reflection of Lynx? A seemingly ordinary facade that hid a disturbing truth only some could see. Let's see what we find. The desk drawers, painting on the wall, the vase on top of the side table. We left no stone unturned. There didn't seem to be anything suspicious, but as I scanned the room, something unusual caught my eye. There was a pedestal in one corner with a significant-looking scarlet cloth drawn over it. I slowly raised my hand toward it. "Be careful what you touch in here," warned McGill. I pulled my hand back timidly. Then the cloth flipped back with a flutter without me having laid a finger on it. "Did that thing just move by itself?" exclaimed Kid, and her eyes wide open with surprise. Gripped by curiosity, we moved in to see what had been hiding. It was a large antique mirror of an elaborately decorated style I'd seen before. It was the kind of thing that would normally seem out of place in an old manor like this. And yet... Wait. Something ain't right, said Kid. Meanwhile, I was captivated by the gaze of the statue of Venus reflected in the mirror. Suddenly, the eyes of the statue shone with light. "What is your desire?" Spoke with a voice that was crystal clear, yet smoky and husky. The mirror, it's speaking," I stammered. "Ah, a whispering mirror," muttered McGill, as if he'd seen them 1,000 times before. "What's one of those?" Kid gave McGill a quizzical glance. A magical mirror in which a spirit dwells. The spirit can move freely between its own and other mirrors, and will share its wisdom with those who ask. Perhaps we should ask it something. I decided to ask it about something that had been on my mind for some time. I asked about Kid. I want to know about Kid's past. Not if you want to leave this place alive, you bloody don't. Or... God damn it. Look at the Irish. Not if you want to leave this place alive, this place alive, you bloody well don't. Kid's face turned red with anger. Your wish is my command, responded the mirror. Ignoring Kid, he grabbed me by the collar and was complaining voraciously. Vociferously? Vociferously. Because that ain't voracious. Is it? No, it ain't voracious. Was complaining vociferously. Huh. Alright, anyways. Ain't very often I find a word I don't know. The image in the mirror rippled, and the reflection of the statue shook. Then the mirror's surface grew dark. Blackness gave way to a scene in Regoria. Shadowy figures appeared one by one. There was a young woman surrounded by several children. They were all dirty, their clothes ragged and worn, but they all laughed as they played together. Then the scene was drowned in flames, and a troop of armed men appeared. The men dragged the woman away, and the children vanished one by one into the inferno. The focus shifted to one of the children, a girl. She was standing with her back to the flames, her tears leaving tracks through the soot on her face as she howled at the night sky. The girl's right eye was narrow like a cat's. "Stop it!" Kid screamed. The image in the mirror grew faint. Kid stared at the ground, her hands balled into tight fists. The room was dominated by silence. Worried about her, I broke the silence. "Kid, I'm sorry, I'm leaving." She spun on her heel and made for the door. "Wait!" I cried and sheepishly darted after her. The corridor stretched out beyond the door. We retraced our steps. Eventually we came to an ornate door on the left-hand side. It was Riddell's room, Lynx's daughter. Continued on our way. Continued down the corridor until we reached an intersection. There was a left turn into a corridor leading to some stairs going upward. The corridor also continued straight toward the entrance to a large plaza-like atrium. It wants us to go back up. So take the stairs back up. Passage to the stairwell was short, with Kid leading the way. We started to climb the narrow staircase. At the top, we found another intersection. The corridor to the right would lead us to a dead end with a large door, while the way to the left led to the terrace. The narrow passage in front of us was open. Think we want to go to the right? Whoa! A scream pierced the darkness, turning my blood to ice. I realized then a pair of crazed blood-red eyes was staring into the depths of my soul. It was a griffin. In a panic, I tried to slip the knife from my belt. Before I could draw my weapon, the griffin had spread its powerful wings and swooped toward me with an almighty screech. I was knocked back and sent rolling across the ground. I gasped with pain as the wind was knocked out of me. Serge, you okay? Every nerve in my body was screaming with pain. I held back the groans and staggered to my feet. I looked up to see the massive griffin in front of me. Its hellish red eyes stared down its beak. It was going to attack. What could I do? Oh shit, I went the wrong way. Flash of light rushed through my head and I was sent reeling backwards. Serge. I could hear someone calling me from far away. Serge, pull your head out of your arse. I came to and my eyes snapping open in an instant. I saw a kid standing between me and the griffin, trying desperately to draw its attention away from me. It seemed I'd lost consciousness for a moment. I scrambled to my feet, pulled out my knife and rushed in to help her. As the beast's bad red eyes glared at me, I desperately tightened my grip on my knife. I attacked. I reversed my grip on my knife and plunged it in the griffin's neck with all my might. Grrr! The griffin's body contorted with agony. Driven mad with rage, the griffin shook its head this way and that. I quickly pulled my knife out from its neck and rolled away to put some space between us. I quickly got back to my feet and readied myself to attack again. Glared at me as I desperately tightened my hand. I attacked again. The beast screamed and contorted with agony. I'd done it. I'd landed a blow, and a telling one at that. The griffin stiffened, suddenly becoming completely rigid. Its eyes rolled into the back of its head and fell to the ground with an almighty crash. We did it! We defeated the griffin! I fell to my knees and breathed a heavy sigh of relief. Holy shit. I was starting to feel a little worse for wear. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. Not bad, Serge. Not bad at all. Didn't know you had it in you. There was a mischievous glint in Kid's eyes. She rewarded me with a few rare words of praise. We continued onward, past where the stairs and the side passage merged to a main corridor. Found ourselves in front of some ornate double doors. Okay, so I went the wrong way, I think. Leave Link's corridor, go past the room, go up the stairs, proceed ahead. So we need to turn back. Return to the corridor, eventually intersection. Stairs going down and to the right. So now we need to take the side passage. Headed down the side passage. At the end, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. We went inside. Kid gently pushed the door ajar and peeked into the room. The next thing I knew, she slipped inside. McGill and I followed. Looks like a study. The room was lit by moonlight coming through the long, slender windows, slanting down in the pale beams through the darkness. It was pretty big for a study, with an immaculate antique desk dominating the center. There were rows of bookshelves lined with thick, dusty old tomes. The wall to the rear of the room was decorated with paintings. Shelves of vases and painted plates stood before it. They all seemed to be curios from foreign lands. examine the desk. I went over to the desk and started searching the drawers. There I found a neatly arranged set of pens, ink bottles, and other writing materials. Nothing of interest, in other words. A small portrait on the desk caught my eye, and it was a picture of a young girl with a gentle smile on her lips. Who was she? That's the girl Lynx adopted. If you ask me, it wasn't because he was looking to help the needy, said Kid, peering over my shoulder. She wrinkled her nose in distaste. Not even a looker. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. It wasn't a loud knock, but in the bottomless silence of the night, it might as well have been a thunderclap. Kid and I stood bolt upright and turned toward it. Gil, meanwhile, hid in the shadows, drifting away like smoke. Panicked, I whispered to Kid. Hide under the desk. Hide under the desk. You what? There's no time. I shoved Kid under the desk, then darted it under it with her. Oof, it was more cramped than I thought it would be. I packed myself in as best as I could. Kid and I found ourselves in an awkward tangle of arms and legs. Slowly the door opened. Flickering candlelight spread from the doorway with a warm glow. A shadowy figure appeared at the threshold. I tried to pack myself into the space under the desk just a little tighter and stilled my breath. I looked down for a moment and my heart skipped a beat. Kid's lips were right there. For a moment, everything else seemed to drift away. The pink bow of her mouth was so soft, so perfectly formed. Suddenly, my heart was beating so loud I thought my chest would burst. I tore my eyes away and squeezed them tightly shut. But it seemed that whoever it was didn't mean to come in. It simply stood there. Strange. I thought I heard something. But the Lord of the Manor is away, of course. Why would there be anyone in here? I have to get over my nerves. Everything was fine until we heard... Oh. No. I have to get over my nerves. Everything was fine until we heard the news that Poor was on the move. The figure quietly closed the door, plunging the room back into darkness. The voice trailed off to a whisper. We remained motionless, keeping our ears pricked for any sign of an unwelcome return. All we heard were footsteps moving away. As I stayed hidden, listening for trouble, a thought began to cross my mind. Kid, sure does smell nice. Oi, Search, you gonna move your arse or what? She whispered into my ear, giving it a little nibble as an afterthought. Huh? Sorry. I rushed to my feet in a panic and smacking my head right into the top of the desk. Ow! God damn it. Cradling my head in my hands, I crawled out from underneath. Oh, that stings. Kid followed right after and stood up looking at me on the floor. Not your most heroic moment. You alright? Yeah, I'll live. She took a look around the room. No sign of that dirtbag Lynx. Lucky for him, she snorted. So, Poor has made its move. McGill emerged from the shadows, contemplating the news we'd overheard. Kid, if the rumors are true, we might well be about to find ourselves in a very difficult situation. This seemed to set her thinking too. Poor was a powerful nation that ruled the southern continent. I heard it was a prosperous land whose recent and sudden development had pushed it far ahead of its neighbors. Which made me wonder, what would its inhabitants want here, out in the sticks? That couldn't be after the frozen flame, too. Could they? As valuable as it might be, a jewel was just a jewel in the grand scheme of things. I couldn't imagine it being an item of national interest. I mean, ultimately it was just a pretty rock. Right? Huh. Let them do what they want. If everyone's busy playing soldiers, they won't be bothering us. Come on, we've got things to do. She headed for the door. We left the room and made our way back down the side passageway. Okay, so we're back at the intersection. So leaving the study, head towards the terrace. Continue. Leaving the study, head towards the terrace. Okay, so made our way down the dark side passageway. Eventually arrived at the intersection. Some stairs led downward, corridor branched left and right, with the right branch leading back toward the terrace. Okay. God damn, this might take a significantly longer time than I thought. Continue through the... So head towards the terrace and continue through the passage. Okay, so right branch to the terrace. Short walk, terrace came into view. Keep following the corridor. Short way, Short way along the corridor running from the right hand side of the terrace, we found an ancient looking door, again on our right. Kid pressed an ear against it, listening for any signs of life. Dead quiet. Don't reckon there's anybody in there. You'll find an old dusty door. Open it. Okay. Open the door. In we go. Kid stilled her breath and reached for the handle. Door wasn't locked. It swung openly. It swung slowly open. What's this room supposed to be? This is a dump. Kid had poked her head in through the door, taking a quick peek to see if anyone was inside, and was disappointed by what she found. The room was large and littered with peculiar-looking machinery and knickknacks, all of which were covered in dust, and had seemingly been dumped there haphazardly. Everything looked like it had been there rusting for a very long time. The ends of the room were completely dark. It was impossible to tell just how big it was, or even what the walls and floor looked like. It seemed the manor's inhabitants had turned the old clock tower into a makeshift storage space for some time ago. I stepped warily inside. Leave that alone. I looked over toward McGill and saw a kid trying to pull something from the shadows. It was a huge sword that appeared to be very old indeed. You don't need that old bludgeon. It'll only get in the way. And as much of an antique as it is, it won't fetch much on the market in that condition. Yeah, reckon it might, you know. There's plenty of collectors who just love old bits of junk. Well, some old bits of junk. Pouting, the kid left the sword where she stood. At least she put it back down gently. It was then we heard a voice from the shadows. And what exactly are you doing here? I just about jumped out of my skin. Who's there? Kid and McGill turned to face the voice, ready for a fight. A wizened crone emerged from the shadows. She was hunched over and wore a hood draped over her face. I could tell at a glance that she wasn't just old. She was positively ancient. It's just some some doddery old bag. What do you think you're doing sneaking up on us like that? Kid's shoulders relaxed as the tension left her body. McGill, however, continued to give the woman a piercing stare. Oh, what an impish little thing you are. Here to visit a friend, perhaps. Not in the dead of night, I suspect. The crone narrowed her eyes. Let's get a closer look at you. Ah, yes. You must be here to get your revenge on Lynx. How did she? My heart jumped. She seemed to know exactly who we were. We were in trouble. What if she sounded the alarm? We'd have to give up on the treasure and run for our lives. What were we going to do? Defiantly tell her she was right. So what if we are? Kid narrowed her eyes right back at the crone. What's it to you if we're here to get our revenge on old Lynxy boy? You gonna do something about it? You never change, do you? The old crone chuckled madly, her small frame shaking. Ah, the boldness of youth. Yes, that's the spirit. You what? Kid looked at the crone completely confused. I was no less mystified. What the heck are you on about? Oh, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. Yes, it was around then that the young innocent thief stole into the manor, looking to singe Lord Lynx's whiskers. She couldn't have been much older than 10. Or couldn't have been much older than 10, now that I think of it. Shocked, I turned my gaze to Kid. A wet glint had appeared in Kid's eyes, but her glare was like ice. It certainly felt as if the temperature in the room had suddenly dropped below freezing. With a chuckle, the crone continued her story, pretending not to have noticed the change in mood. She was an orphan, you know. Came after Lynx to avenge a woman who'd loved her like her own daughter. But all the vengefulness in the world couldn't change the fact that she was only a little girl. She was no match for Lynx's men, sadly, and they quickly captured her. Lynx is the kind of man where one would fear to have for an ally, never mind a foe. Had it not been for the timely assistance of a friend of hers, the girl would have certainly been executed. The way the people of the manor told it, the very shadows pitied the girl and rushed in to spirit her away. I wonder how much the tale could be true. I have nothing but sympathy for those who know failure, of course. Can't win all the time. And sometimes, against all the odds, fate really can be foiled, and the clockwork of history sent into disarray. No, the ones I have no patience for are those who do not recognize their failure, or who fail and choose to give up as a result. The crone looked up from under her hood, stared Kid directly in the face, and grinned. Kid's anger faded, giving way to a dumbfounded expression. If you wish to steal the jewel from Lynx, If you truly wish to triumph, you will have to let go of a treasure of your own, kid. For as long as you cling on to it, the hands of your clock will never move. They'll stay exactly where they came to rest all those years ago. Who are you? Oh, me? Why, I'm just an old bag, like you said. I do apologize. Must have taken up a lot of your time with my babbling. I'll leave you in peace. But before I go, the crone turned to face me. You seem to be injured, young man. If you wish, I could take a look at your wounds. With all the attention suddenly turned toward me, I panicked a little. All right then, please do. What? All right then, please do. The crone muttered a few words as her bony fingers drew sigils in the air. A pale, gentle light began to surround my... wait. I'm not talking like the crone. The crone muttered a few words as her bony fingers drew sigils in the air. A pale, gentle light began to surround my body, filling me with a strange warmth. Strike a light. That's no ordinary spell. The kid was impressed. I felt my wounds healing and heard a nostalgic melody that soothed the wounds in my heart. Before I realized it, the crone was gone. Hey lady! The kid strained her eyes, scanning the darkness. There was no one to be seen, and her calls went unanswered. Who the bloody heck was that? The kid looked like she'd just woken up on the floor of the Laughing Pig after a few too many. And what did she mean by... Oh wait, is that me? Who the bloody heck was that? And what did she mean about you having to let go of a treasure? You won't find any answers here. Time to move on. McGill brought us back down to earth, motionless as always. It almost seemed as if he thought nothing had happened at all. Yeah, I guess you're right. Kid walked quickly to the door, keen to move on. Hold it, you. Just as I was about to follow Kid out the room, she jabbed me in the side with her elbow. You stingy little bugger, Serge. Why didn't you tell her to share some of that healing magic with the rest of us? Classic Kid. Door to the corridor stretched left and right. Right laid toward the depths of the manor. So I think we gotta go back into the... When you leave the clock tower storeroom, head to the right, and you'll find a firm looking... Okay, so to the right. Continued down the corridor, came to a rather sturdy looking door on our left. A little further, stood a stairway leading upward. This door's clearly meant to keep something safe. If there ain't some kind of treasure behind it, my name ain't Kid. Yep, that's the smell of cold hard cash, all right. She muttered to herself as she began to inspect the door more closely. Find a firm-looking door on the left. Try to open them, but they're locked. So, went inside. But, what am I, stupid? Of course it's bloody locked. Kid tried the door handle a few times before giving it a grumpy kick. Bloody door's got a magic barrier on it, and the bloody barrier's got a barrier of its own to boot. It'll take more'n me more than it'll take more than me putting the boot. That. It'll take more than me putting the boot in to get through all that. I see. Unless we find the key, we don't have a hope of getting inside. Reckon I can handle the key hunt, especially if that idiot Lynx is who's hidden it. If we can find his room, I'll sniff it out in 2 seconds flat. Just you watch. There was little more we could do here, so we decided to look elsewhere. Proceed ahead to the stairs. Continued on. The corridor ended at the foot of some stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed upwards. It was dark, and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our footing carefully as we climbed. The stone of the steps was worn and smooth with age, and I lost count of how many there were as we spiraled onward and upward. An awful sense of foreboding haunted me. I had no idea why, but I felt as though we were being marched to the gallows. When we arrived at the top of the stairs, we were greeted by an old heavy door looming in the silence. All was deathly silent, and still clammy air added to the sense of ominous apprehension. Something's very wrong here, I muttered without thinking. I hear cursed whispers from beyond the door, McGill added, doing nothing to lift the mood. Grow up, will ya? Kid shot back at us derisively. She was already examining the door. Well, it ain't locked, and I don't hear anyone inside. We went inside. Alright, here goes. Kid tried the handle, and the door opened and with a slow, heavy swing, revealed what lay beyond. It was a small cylindrical room that appeared to be inside one of the stone towers. It was completely deserted, and there were no windows. What's this supposed to be? Again, is this me or is this Kid? I think it's me. What's this supposed to be? Something about this place gives me the creeps. Still standing in the doorway, Kid seemed suddenly taken aback. There might be something in here. Let's take a closer look. Closer look at a bloody empty room? Might as well, I guess. We did climb all them stairs. Kid stepped through the door, grumbling under her breath. I scanned the room and then noticed something on the floor. Flagstones were covered in dozens of narrow scratches, and in places there were thick black stains. Something in the stains spoke of a horror that no amount of scrubbing would ever wash away. A malice and a sadness beyond imagining. There's something written here. Oh, no, it's McGill. There's something written here. Crouching in front of a wall, McGill was inspecting some brownish marks that looked like more of the same stains. Someone's carved letters into the wall and scrambled them using blood magic. Kid had gone over to take a look. Looks pretty old. Hard to read, too. Some of it's been worn away. Let's see. I cannot hold out much longer. My only hope now is to leave the Asian signet in this room. The Asian signet? Suddenly the door slammed shut. We jumped to our feet with a start. From above us, we heard an unsettling creaking sound. The walls and floor began to tremble. What the hell's going on? Kid's eyes darted around the room as she desperately tried to figure out what was happening. The creaking sound from above continued and the ceiling moved ominously closer. Up there! Oh God! Oh God! We've walked right into a bloody trap, Kid bit her lip. Gotta do something and fast. We don't have time to sit and think about this. What was I going to do? Surge, Kid screamed, and then, oof! The edge of one of the blades sliced into my forehead. There's no time. What we're gonna do? Barge the door. Ugh! Kid sprang to the door like an arrow, slamming it in shoulder first. It was far too heavy, and her light frame bounced right off it. Damn it! McGill raced to the door like wind, smashing it into it with ferocious force. It made a creaking sound that shook from the impact that stirred furrow. Desperately, I heard myself at it too. The shock of the impact rushed through my body, but it was no good. Meanwhile, the rusty creaking from above continued, as did the ceiling's inexorable journey downward. And to make matters worse, now countless blades were popping in and out. Surge, McGill. Surge, McGill. This is going to take all three of us. Timing our blows, we all charged the door at once. Once, twice, the third time. Then the door was open and we were collapsed in a heap in the corridor outside. What? Behind us, we heard the sound of a bladed ceiling grinding on the stone floor in the tower room. The metallic scraping noise was awful. We could only look on in silent horror at the fate we'd so narrowly evaded. The machinery continued for a short while, before slowly coming to a stop. It seemed the ceiling trap had finally finished its grisly work. Bugger me! Talk about a nasty surprise! Is it some sort of execution chamber? Or no, is it some sort of execution chamber? McGill continued, seeming to be deep in thought. In any case, that writing mentioned Sia. Yeah, what was that all about? The Sia Dragoons, the elite knightly order serving General Viper, who once governed the territory of Gelsborg to the west. Former knightly order, I should say. They were wiped out more than a decade ago, by the lord of this very manor no less. Uh-huh. Thanks for the history lesson, Mag. Kid rose to her feet, patting off the dust. Too bad we're not here for fairy tale nights. Come on, we've got a lot more exploring left to do. McGill shrugged silently, and we headed back to the stairs. Keep going towards the terrace. Kid and Lead, we went down the thing, went to the stairs, continued straight ahead, eventually coming to the started looking door on the right. Corridor continued further. We continued on. Continued down, towards the terrace. Door on our left. Okay, so keep going towards the terrace and proceed through the hallway. Take the stairs down again. Continued on. A short walk down the corridor, terrace came into view. Kept following the corridor. Took the corridor, intersection. And we want to go down the stairs again. Slowly crept down the stairs, descending, pop split. Left to the plaza, right to the winding passageway. I'll put effort into reading the actual, like, narrative stuff. Take the stairs down again. Head right. Went down the stairs, took her passage to the right, eventually came inside. It was Riddell's room. Go past into Lynx's quarters. Okay, so we continue on our way again. Keep going down to a sturdy, immaculately polished door. Lynx's room. Kids. Oh, it was Lynx's room. Kid's eyes lit up, gleaming in the darkness with savage anticipation. We went inside. Kid opened the door and slipped inside. I knew he wouldn't be here. Started looking for any signs of the key to the vault. Maybe she can help, said Kid, thrusting her chin toward the mirror. Gently pulled the soft cloth from the mirror and stared into the glass. It was dark like the surface of a lake at night. What is your desire? Asked about Kid's measurements. That'd be funny. But no, we're not going to do that. Head right, past Riddell's room, yada yada yada. Ask for the key. Do you know where the key to the vault is? The mirror's reflection rippled, changed to reveal a room with numerous bookshelves. A deep, sonorous voice spoke. You will find the key in the place I have revealed. The study. It is inside a book with a purple cover in the furthest bookshelf from the door. The image of the study vanished from the mirror, and the voice went silent. It appears the spirit has left for another mirror, commented McGill. To the study, then. As I made to leave the room, a low voice rumbled through the air, stopped me dead in my tracks. Beware. He moves. Was it the voice in the mirror again? What did it mean? Hurry up or we're leaving you behind, Serge, called Kid from the outside. Flustered, I rushed after her. Corridor stretched out beyond the door. Retraced our steps, eventually came to a door-named door, Riddell's room. Continued on our way. Continued down the corridor until we reached the intersection. There was a left turn to the corridor leading to some stairs going upward. Corridors continued straight to a large plaza. Oh god. Walkthrough's not being real mean now. Took the left passage toward the stairs leading up. Passage to the stairway was short, getting away. Going up to the thing, found another intersection. Reached the dead end with the large door. To the terrace. A narrow passage in front of us. We want to go... Oh, here we go. Nice. The answers are becoming more detailed as we go. Went down the side passage toward the study. Headed down the side passage. At the end of it was an old door. Yada yada yada. This is the study. We went inside. Right, let's find this key. Light on her feet as always, Kid moved into the center of the room. Where'd the mirror say it was again, Serge? She was asking me? How was I supposed to remember? Purple cover far bookcase. I think it was supposed to be the one with the purple cover in the furthest bookcase. Alright, let's see. Seeming to take my word for it, Kid made for the case in question. Right, this one. Purple cover. Aha, this has got to be it. Kid pulled the book out from the bottom shelf. McGill and I watched as she opened it. Pages were hollowed out, and inside was an old key decorated with strange symbols. Nailed it. Nice one, Serge. Kid snatched the key from inside the book. Right. Time to finally get a look at this treasure. Having got what we came for, we left the study. We made our way back down the dark passageway leading from the study, arrived at the intersection. Head toward the terrace and keep going down the hallway. Okay, so to the terrace. Keep following the corridor. Ancient looking door. Looked like this was the way of the clock tower. Continue on. Continue creeping down the hallways. Continue down the thing. Straight looking door on the left. A little further on was a stairway. Well, this door is clearly meant to keep something safe. If there ain't some kind of treasure behind it, my name ain't Kid. Yep. Smell, yada yada yada. We went inside. This should do it. Kid slipped the key we'd found into the lock. Lines of magical light flashed across the surface of the door and vanished as various magical barriers were dispelled. Up, down, left, right, blue, red, green, every color under the sun. And then all was quiet in the darkness of the manor returned. Right, we're in. With a creak, the heavy door gently swung open. Oh no. With a creak, the heavy door gently swung open. As soon as I saw what was inside, I gave a gasp. Kid stepped inside. Whoa, we've hit the mother lode. Out of the darkness loomed a veritable mountain of gold, silver, priceless works of art, and exquisite trinkets. Kid looked as if she was on the verge of drooling at the sight of it. But what thief wouldn't have been? After all, this was the kind of hoard that few people would ever come across in their lifetime. The smallest fraction of this vast mound of riches would have seen even the most careless spendthrift set for life. Our goal is the frozen flame. Ignore the rest. McGill spoke with an icy dedication to our mission. He had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. Yeah, I know. She was disappointed, of course, but she soon set about scanning the room for the object of our hunt. Wait, is that it? Look on the pedestal over there. I turned to see what Kid was pointing at. There it was, a small yet perfectly formed jewel that gave off a pale red light. A jewel that looked like a flickering fire suspended in time. The frozen flame. Silently, McGill headed toward the pedestal. I called off. Or I called out. Wait, we have to be careful. You're right. This is Lynx we're dealing with after all. It may very well be trapped. We should be on our guard. Or no. You're right. This is Lynx we're dealing with after all. It may very well be trapped. We should be on our guard. We need to be quick about this, but fine, have it your way. Grumbled Kid is looking away. McGill examined the pedestal for a short while, then paused. We were wise to be cautious. Placing his left hand on the base of the pedestal, he muttered an incantation, drawing quick sigils in the air with his right hand. Some glyphs appeared on its smooth surface, and for a moment grazed lightly. There, now we can proceed. McGill calmly reached out and grabbed hold of the red jewel. Dun 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 dun! Surge and his friends had tamed the frozen flame. Whew! We managed to get what we came for without anything horrible happening to us. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned again to McGill. He was staring silently at the jewel in his hands. McGill, we did it. Let's get out of... Before I could finish, the frozen flame crumbled to dust. This flame was a fake. Lynx must be keeping the real one somewhere safe. What? Suddenly a siren rang out. The room was flooded with light, and metal bars slammed down in front of the doors. I turned with a gasp to see Kid frozen, an ornate crown in her hands, a wide-eyed look of awkward shock on her face. Dun da 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 da! Kid and friends obtained a golden crown, too. You're kidding me, right? You had to go and... You complete bonehead. I let rip with a stream of choice insults. In my head, that is. Metallic parrots in the four corners of the room suddenly came to life, flapping their wings and screeching. Thieves! Thieves! We're in trouble. These things are going nowhere, said McGill, inspecting the bars covering the door. Although, to look at him, you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. Which way? Which way? Which way? Which way? The parrots! The parrots! To the vault! The vault! We heard voices in the distance. The manor guards were coming. Kid dived behind a pile of gold coins. Find somewhere to hide. In a panic, I looked around the room. There was a large chest sitting wide open next to a pillar. I rushed to empty it out and then plunged headfirst and closed the lid. Captain, there's no sign of anyone in there. No sign. Strange, peculiar. No one has ever escaped before. None have ever fled the mousetrap's clutches. None. I gently pushed the lid of the chest and peeked through the gap. There were 5 goblins wearing suits of armor, unlocking the gate and about to make their way inside. One of the goblins looked around the room, jerking his neck as he peered into the shadows. Captain, what if it actually was a mouse this time? Chef was grumbling about mouses the other day, Captain. A mouse, a rodent, a rat. A mouse, a rodent, a rat. Would a teeny tiny thing like that really have sprung the trap? Replied a stocky, plump-looking goblin, who must have been the captain. He didn't seem convinced. It was when I heard a strange but oddly familiar sound from the corner of the room. Squeak! Squeak! It was coming from where Kid was hiding. Startled, the troop of goblins stopped and looked at each other. For a moment, none of them spoke. Eventually, the goblin captain rubbed his chin through his jowls and offered his thoughts. Mouses. I'm sure Chef was complaining about cats. Meow. Meow. That voice again. Again silence. The goblins only looked at each other. Funny you should say that, Captain. The way I heard it, it weren't mouses or cats, it was a hecarim. An awkward silence followed. In my mind's eye, I could see Kid racking her brains to work out what a hecarim was. I smell a rat, by which I mean a thief. Following the captain's lead, the guards reached for their weapons and then... Hick! Hick, 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 ran, hicka-ran. Listen, it really is a heck-ran. By heck, that proves it. The goblin guards grinned and nodded to each other. Cheeky little devil, surprised me there. Let's get out of here, boys. The goblins filed out of the vault. I breathed a sigh of relief. And then they came charging back in with a mighty roar. There's no such things as heckreds. What, you sneaky little buggers? Roared Kid, leaping out from behind the pile of gold coins. You're one to talk, thief. Brandishing their weapons menacingly, the goblins moved slowly, forcing Kid into a corner. Quietly opened the lid of the coffer and slipped out. Can't leave you anywhere, can I muttered to myself. I knew Kid could handle herself, but I didn't fancy her odds against the whole troop of heavily armed goblins. For a moment, I wasn't sure what to do. Then I made up my mind. Right, I had to save Kid. There was no way I was going to abandon a friend in need. Even if it meant facing off against a whole group of 5 goblin guards, I'd find a way to come out on top. I hoped. I drew the knife from my belt and leapt into the middle of the room. Hey, snot for brains, over here. The goblins all turned to look at me at the same time. 10 beady, cruel little eyes all staring daggers at me. Fool, in a hurry to die, are we? I gulped and wondered if making a run for it might have been a better plan of action after all. Humans are so stupid. Goblin Captain chuckled and licked his teeth. Yep, this one's got a death wish, all right. Why else would he be so stupid as to come after Lord Leaks' treasure? Oh, God. My voice is already getting fucked up. Oh, this is a lot of reading. I'm just going to use my normal voice for now. So, well, a little bit of an accent, I guess. Ah, that's a first, being called dumb by a bloody goblin. Try acting tough when you're carrying your mum later. When you're crying to your mum later on. Judging by Kid's response, she wasn't feeling massively threatened. And you tell her it was Kid who kicked your teeth in. So you're Kid, are you? So you're Kid, are you? The sneaky little, sleepy little thief we've heard so much about. Goblin narrowed his eyes. Lord Lynx will be thanking me from now until my retirement if I bring your head on a silver platter. Goblin Captain pulled his morning star from his waist and started swinging. You don't know who you're messing with. We ain't no ordinary goblins, sweetheart. We're Lord Lynx's elite guard. The goblins that gobble other goblins. That's right, the Gob Squad. Oh, quit shooting your mouth off and let me stick a boot in it. And with that, Kid launched into a lightning-fast spinning kick. Her boot connected to the side of the goblin's head with a crack, sending the creature tumbling to the ground. Get him, lads! The boy looks scrawny. Start with him. Goblin Captain spun the heavy metal ball of his morning star in the air. Glorious gob strike! Aye aye! The goblins charged across the room in response to their captain's command. Oh shit! I wasn't gonna make it. Morning Star swept sideways through the air, twisted my body to evade it, only for my torso to erupt in pain before I knew I was rolling across the floor and red. Surge, get up! Spurred by Kid's scream, I staggered, my feet clutching my side. I couldn't let it end like this. Another goblin flew down from overhead, bombs away. With a growl, I rolled away. I rolled across the floor, dodging the attack. The Morningstar crashed into the flagstone, sending sparks flying. I also close shave. Get my escape by rolling further, clumsily putting some distance between myself and my attacker. Gob strike incoming, ready myself to parry the attack. Just about managed to push my enemy's attack aside and try to strike back with my knife, only for a goblin to knock away my attack with a flick with the brawny arm and send me crashing into the ground. Shit. Shock sent a bright white light singing through my head. Another goblin hesitated for just a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure lightning conjured up by McGill. Goblin let out a blood-curdling howl as electricity coursed through his body. He clutched awkwardly at his chest where it had been struck, its face contorted with agony and horror. McGill's cape fluttered and his piercing eyes stared coldly at his victim. None who defied me shall escape my wrath. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! Growl, Morningstar swinging from above. I rolled away. Rolled across the floor, dodging. Also close shave. Make my escape rolling a little further, clumsily putting some distance between myself and my attacker. Gob strike. I dodged the attack. I swiftly dodged the attack when I started brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to escape unscathed. I lost my balance though and flung clumsily to the floor. Another goblin hesitated for just a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure lightning. Same stuff happened again, so that's 2 goblins down. Jumped up for a counterattack. I was better off attacking than trying for a clumsy dodge. I tackled the goblin head on. Literally, I smashed my skull into the goblin's grim visage as hard as I could. Shock ran through my neck and shoulders like I'd been brained by a hammer, but it was worth it. Teeth and spittle flew left and right, and the great ugly brute rolled stunned on the floor. Blazing pain seared through my mind and I fell to my knees. McGill conjured up a black wind which surged forth like a shearing tempest. How does a human know a spell like that? Who are you? The goblin was quickly silenced as the rushing winds tore through it and it collapsed to the floor with a final shriek. McGill looked down at his victim, his expression unchanged. Long live Lord Lynx, glory to the Gob Squad! And with these final words, the goblin collapsed. That was the last of them. Made it. Ha! Piece of cake, said Kid, putting a brave face on things as she wiped the sweat from her brow with her arm. And then she stopped and looked at me. Serge, what were you thinking, you great drongo? Getting the goblins to come after you like that. You really didn't have to, you know. Kid gazed softly at me, her blue eyes like a cool glow of the moon. She seemed to be trembling slightly. She looked down at the ground, hiding her face. Thanks. I'll never forget what happened tonight. Even if we go our separate ways, even if we never meet again. Never. And then McGill stepped in. Saves the chatter for later. Can't waste any more time here. The frozen flame must be somewhere else in the manor. Alright, mate. Thanks for stating the obvious. It's not my bloody fault that Lynx has to make things so bloody difficult for everyone. Kid spun on her heel and made a sulky about face for the door. Suddenly, her attention returned to the pile of defeated goblins. This bunch of Drogos said they're Lynx Lead's guard, right? Bet they got some nice loot on them. That she started unceremoniously rummaging through the fallen captain's pockets. She was like a hyena sniffing for scraps. Hello? Hello, what's this? Hello, what's this? She found an odd metal plate. It resembled an open hand and was covered with runes. Reckon this might open some other magic door somewhere. Well, never know when it might come in handy. Either way, find its keepers. And the plate vanished into Kid's pocket. Looks like there's nothing else worth taking, unless you count pocket lint and bits of string. She rose to her feet and looked around the room. You know, it's a real shame to leave the rest of this loot sitting here unloved. Suppose we can come back for it whenever. Kid turned to face us and flashed a grin. Alright, lads. Let's get a move on. It ain't gonna be dark forever. That hand-shaped plate is our only clue for now, muttered McGill seemingly to himself. With that, we left the vault in search of the real frozen flame. Corridor on the outside of the room stretched left and right. Path to the right led to the terrace. Okay, so where do we gotta go? After defeating the goblins, hand-shaped plate, leave the treasure vault, head towards the terrace, keep walking till the path splits. Toward the terrace. Continued on. Keep following the corridor. Intersection. Okay. Take the stairs again. Go to the archer. So to the atrium this time. Down the stairs. Went to the atrium on the left. Kid poked her head through an arch-shaped door and took a look around. Huh. It's big in here. Must be some kind of hall. We took a cautious look around and then entered one after another. The atrium was like a beautiful plaza, complete with a statue that doubled as a fountain. Pillars and arches lined the wall, and in the center was a small pool of clear water, above which a statue stood. On the other side of the room, I could see another arched entrance like the one we had come through. Oh, that's cold. Kid was scooping up water from the fountain. I went over to her, rested my hand on the edge of the marble basin, peered into the pool beneath. Shadows flickered under the water's surface. You reckon there are fish in there? Or you reckon those fish are rare? As in, valuable? Kid leaned right over the edge. I couldn't see the bottom. I wondered how deep it was. The shadow of one of the fish grew larger and larger. Whoa! Whoa! Sensing danger, Kid leapt back from the edge. Clack! A fish leapt out of the water, a fish leaped out from the water and snapped at her, its jaws bristling with razor-sharp teeth. Mouth closed shut on the air where she had been only moments before, and with a splash the fish darted back under the water. Piranodons! Piranodons! Deadly carnivorous fish with razor-sharp teeth and powerful jaws that could snap a monster's horn in half. Staring in horror, I watched as the dark shadows began to gather in what little of the pool I could make out. The piranodons must have detected prey. Soon the room was filled with the sound of splashing and snapping as the fish teemed at the water's surface. Bloody hell! Even Kid was uneasy. She took another step back. How many piranodons were in the pool? The thought of what would happen if they all leapt clear of the water and attacked at once crossed my mind. A bead of cold sweat rolled down my forehead. Suddenly, the water coming from the statue turned crimson, and shot out a powerful jet that nearly touched the ceiling. Kid jumped back. I just stood in shock, watching the torrent of water erupt from the statue. The scarlet waters continued to gush out the fountain. The pool grew redder and redder and started to overflow. We looked on entranced, but the spell was soon broken when we realized the water was starting to flow faster and faster over the rim of the basin. The piranodons began to jump and snap at the water's surface with a bloodthirsty glee. I was brought to my senses. I rushed back the way we came. Kid, let's get out of here. In a panic, we splashed through the water back to the corridor we came from. Bangs of piranodons snapped at my legs, and I felt searing pain. I had to endure it if I had any hope of reaching the entrance. Breathed heavily and found myself back in the corridor outside. Whew, that was a close call. So that whole thing was a trap, eh? Talk about twisted. Lynx is even more of a sick bastard than I thought. Or no. So that whole thing was a trap, eh? Talk about twisted. Lynx is even more of a sick bastard than I thought. I was about to say he wouldn't have to be if he didn't have to guard against people like her breaking into his home, but I thought better of it. Well, at any rate, I think we can consider that a dead end. Let's go back. Defeated, we left the atrium. Something caused Kid to stop in her tracks. Hello. What do we have here? She pointed to the side of the entranceway to the hall. Found myself face to face with the sculpture of an old man's face and a truly phenomenal beard. The sculpture's eyes seemed to gleam with life. For a piece of marble, it seemed almost too realistic. It's a mouth of truth, announced McGill. An enchanted statue that can tell when you're lying. If it catches you out, it'll bite your hand off. McGill kept his explanation simple so the Kid wouldn't drift off before he got to the important part. So what's it doing here then? I suspect it's part of a greater mechanism. Stick your hand right in its gob, do ya? Righto, let's see what happens, shall we? With a mischievous glint in her eye, Kid darted over and stuck her hand in its mouth without a moment's hesitation. She stood there for a moment waiting, but it didn't take long for her to get bored. Nothing. Suddenly, I had an idea. Hey, Kid, who's the greatest thief who ever lived? Me, of course, you drog. Kid answered without a moment's hesitation, and then suddenly her face twisted in pain. The teeth of the marble sculpture had clamped down on her hand. It bit me, she cried. Knock it off. Everyone knows it's the truth. Ow! Sculpture bit her again as soon as she spoke. Grr, you little... A cold sweat formed on Kid's forehead. The sculpture was tightening its grip. It won't let go until you say something true. Despite the obvious... It won't let go unless you say something true. Despite the obvious urgency of the situation, McGill was as matter of fact as ever. Just say anything, kid. Anything, as long as it's the truth. Obviously, Kid wasn't listening. Instead, she just kicked awkwardly at the statue. Oi, Beardy, let go of me bloody hand. She planted her feet either side of its mouth and tried her hardest to pull out. She heaved, kicked, and stamped, and grunted and strained. And then finally her hand popped free. I was taken aback by what I had just witnessed, and I couldn't say a word. See, told you it was the truth. Kid raised her hand in the air triumphantly, as if to demonstrate. I could see heavy bite marks. The sculpture hadn't come away from the struggle unscathed either. Kid's attempt to break free had left it cracked in several places. Miguel pointed silently at part of it. I went to take a closer look and saw a pale, flesh-colored tongue. I expect we're supposed to put something there. Something? What exactly? Kid stood there for a moment lost in thought, and then she started to unload all the knickknacks she'd been carrying. A strange collection of odds and ends pulled out of her pockets, her boots, and even from her braid. My connection sucks, keeps pausing and stuttering. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Gravy. That always sucks when the connection won't cooperate with you. Alright, Serge, now it's your turn to have a go at the stupid statue. Kid grinned at me, holding her assortment of knickknacks out in the palms of both hands. I guess she decided that whatever further horrors the statue had in store, she'd rather not face them herself. Nice, kid. Real nice. Grumbling to myself, I reached out to pick an item. I chose... I'm going to assume it's the hand-shaped plate. Took the hand-shaped metal plate we'd found. After taking another look at the runes, I was no closer to working out what they might mean. There goes nothing. I stuck the plate into the mouth of Truth's marble maw. As soon as I did so, its eyes rolled upward and the wall gave a light judder. A low rumbling sound came from the sculpture's mouth. This is indeed the ultimate truth. Did you hear something? Yeah. I watched the mouth of truth in confusion. Its great marble tongue lolled out like a snake. It coiled around the plate, seizing it, pulling deep inside. What's going on? Panic, I looked at McGill for answers. Seems this ineffable truth of the universe has left even the mouth of truth tongue-tied. McGill answered in his usual deadpan manner. I think he might have even been trying to make a joke. Hang on, so that plate thingy revealed the truth of the universe? Hang on. So that plate thingy revealed the truth of the universe? And you went and crammed it down Beardy's gullet? Do you realize how much we could have had sold that for? Kid kicked the floor in frustration and snapped her fingers. And then drains on all sides of the room suddenly opened. Wide. The red water formed eddies as it sank away. Helpless, the pteranodons were washed away with the current. Soon only trickles of water were left, slowly dripping away. Been doing that for the last half an hour. Ugh, that's terrible, Gravy. I'm sorry. Well, ain't that a stroke of luck? Guess we won't be sleeping with the fishes tonight, grinned Kid, looking at the empty pool. We crossed the drained room, making for the exit on the other side, and pressed on. We crossed the atrium. I went through the atrium, continued down the corridor before finding ourselves at a fork in the road. Corridor starts left and right. Head down the left path. Find a locked door leading to the catacombs. Away from it. Keep on going forward. Suddenly, the darkness felt opaque. Something like a thick haze floated in the air in front of us. Then it took a form. Someone blowing smoke into a person-shaped bottle. It was robed in a ragged shroud, and sunken eyes glittered menacingly. It was the burning hatred that lingered even after death given form. A being driven by a hatred for all living things. Ghost. Bugger, that's us out. Kid bit her lip. There wasn't anything she or I could do to deal with an enemy that had no physical body. A voice boomed out from behind me. McGill had begun casting a spell. Jumped behind McGill. Oh shit! McGill cast a glance and continued his incantation without missing a beat. Then grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and threw me at the ghost. I emitted a strangled scream of horror that I'd probably never be able to repeat again. I tried to brace myself before I crashed face first into the wall. But the impact I was expecting never came. The core of the ghost, where its face seemed to be, had more substance than the rest of it. And I didn't just slip through it like I thought I would. I oozed through it, like I was stuck in some kind of goo. Ye gods, it was disgusting. More disgusting than anything I'd ever known, and it was impossibly cold. Felt like it was draining the heat right out of my blood, like it was draining my life force itself, in fact. I struggled to break free, but find no purchase in the gooey ectoplasm. The coldness became more and more intense, and soon I didn't even know what cold meant anymore. This could be it for me, I thought. I was consumed by despair. Then there was a surge of heat through the muscles of my neck, from the place where McGill grabbed me just a moment before. At the same time, his incantation echoed in my mind, and my vision was filled with clear blue light. Serge? Why, Serge, you still with us, mate? Someone was slapping me around in the face. Someone who seemed to be enjoying it immensely. Kid, stop it, damn you! I leapt to my feet, wide awake in an instant. Mag, did you really have to use me like that? When dealing with foes who attack the mind, it is simplest to lure them in with baits, then use their intended prey's consciousness as a conduit in order to make an assault from the astral plane. A direct magical attack would have meant a lengthy battle, a far less elegant solution. He replied without a trace of guilt. Alright, let's keep moving. Kid gave the order to continue, seemingly completely oblivious to my brush with death. Wait a second. What's that? There's a leather bag on the ground, containing a sparkling gem. Now we're talking. Kid's face lit up with joy. Nice find, Serge. What a beaut. Kid snatched it away, leaving me to settle for the compliment. I was starting to feel a little worse for wear. Just got to be more careful from now on, or this is going to end badly. Not bad, Serge. Not bad at all. Didn't know you had it in you. There's a mischievous glint in Kid's eye as she rewarded me with a few rare words of praise. Continued down the corridor, eventually reaching old, rather sturdy-looking door. Keep going forward, then take a descending staircase and turn left. Bloody marvelous. Another bloody door with a bloody magic berry on it. Wonder what's inside. My sixth sense tells me it ain't treasure. Kid whispered back to us as she examined the door. Suspect that this is the Manor's dungeon, replied McGill, his eyes closed in concentration. I can hear the sound of someone moaning in the darkness on the other side. But there is nothing we can do, thus it is of little concern to us now. Let us turn back. With no way of getting through the door, we retraced our steps down the corridor. Making our way down the corridor, we came to a branch in the path. Take us back to the atrium with the fountain. Corridor also continued directly ahead. By the way, it completely continue straight, I guess. Scream pierced the shadows, turned my blood to ice, then I realized, son of a... Okay, apparently we did this again. Reflex to jump back, soon followed by its head. Shit. And that is how I died. Son of a bitch! I thought I followed the right path. Do I have to start completely over? Son of a bitch. Alright, well... Damn it. It's getting too late. There's no way I'm going to finish that. So, we will come back to this at a different time. Boo, no! So, I think this will end up being like whatever went, like, it might just, like, my next day off, I might just start it super early and just start booking my way through it. And it will be on stream, so we will do it on stream. Don't worry about that. Sadly, though, I have to work in the morning. Because that took us a long time, and we weren't even through, like... Like, it wasn't even the full chunk of the first part of the story, apparently. So, we will have to, like I said, we'll do this on a different day. Like, it'll be maybe my whatever Wednesday stream. But the thing was not very helpful as far as, like, where things were and stuff. Is the entire game like that? So, Radical Dreamers is like this. the whole thing is like this, because it's just supposed to be like laying out the event that is considered like it's laying out all the foundation of the event that starts Chrono Cross. Like, because apparently Chrono Cross starts literally right after this event that we are going through is a visual novel. But don't worry, we will make it through it. And apparently it never made it to the States because it didn't perform very well, even in back in the day. So, yeah. All in all, it's that apparently that's the whole thing for at least the Radical Dreamers Le Trésor Interdit or whatever it's called. But anyways, I want to say thank you all for tuning into the Flying T-Bar C today. I really appreciate you guys' viewership. I will be back tomorrow with more Fantasy Friday, where we're going to play some more Final Fantasy X. Going to keep on working our way through the Dark Aeons, hopefully. Right now, we are... we'll probably do a couple more runs on Ixion. Because I was trying to get a piece of gear from that. And then we'll probably move on to Shiva after that. But I was wanting to try and get another ribbon max HP armor from that, so yeah, that's what we're doing. So, don't forget to go check out the socials, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky. YouTube is the archive, Twitter and Blue Sky, where you guys can find announcements. Like, follow if you think worth a subscription. Well, I ain't gonna say no. Just take care of yourself first. That's all I ask. As for a raid target this evening, buffering. Thanks for the stream. Well, thank you for tuning in, Gravy. Thanks for tuning in twice today. Actually, you stuck around with me for a good 5 hours today, 5.5 hours. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna raid Pumpkin Synth. She is a VTuber who has multiple characters that she likes to play as and is definitely Halloween obsessed. But looks like they're playing some Donkey Kong Country, which is going to be a fun time over there. I dig some Donkey Kong Country. Funky Kong. So, yeah. Now that raid timer has started, folks, don't forget, make sure you guys enjoy yourself some good food, some great drinks, even better company. And I'll see y'all on the flip side. Happy trails, folks.